Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of Frail Conversations. Today I'm going to be discussing sexual retention. This is a very important topic because as men, we fuck too much. Now, this is not saying that anything's wrong with fucking or having sex, sexual intercourse, but ain't nothing wrong with fucking. But the problem is that in fucking so much, we're releasing as well. So every time we're having sex, we're also having orgasms. We're not supposed to have an orgasm every time we have sex. An orgasm is solely connected to procreation. We're solely supposed to only release an orgasm when our intent is to physically create a being. You feel what I'm saying? Anything outside of that, we're supposed to retain it and transmute it into creative energy to create something in the material world with our minds, with our souls. So this is why, a part of the agenda for genocide, that's what I'm gonna call this shit. You feel what I'm saying? We always talk about there being an agenda of masculinity. It's really just an agenda for genocide. And you got to get the procreative factor. One of the procreative factors, you have to destroy it. So one of the ways in which you do that is to continually promote sex, continually promote fucking, continually promote these things and make it a thing. So, our conditioning is that the conditioning is about the hypersexualization of black men. It's known, it seems like that's all we do is fuck. Like then art imitates reality. So you hear our music and our music is about fucking. We're good at love making. We're good at fucking. We're good at pounding shit out. That's what we do. You feel what I'm saying? But it's points to it that we have to stop doing. You feel what I'm saying? And we have to learn how to practice, semen retention. We know how to practice the transmutation of our sexual energy as the creative energy that it really is. So we need to peel back the layers and see, like when we call it sexual energy, we have to really see it as creative energy. And then when we can start to see it as that, we can really transmute it and use it properly. You feel what I'm saying? In a given time frame, like it's so promoted and heavily given to us that it's like we feel like that's what we do. You feel what I mean? We feel like that's what makes us. It goes into, the marks of a man are the notches under his belt. I'm not saying that is a reality. That is something that happens when we grow up. You know what I mean? I became sexually active at 11 years old. That's young. That's really young. But in that time frame in which it happened, I was under the premise that that's what's going to make me a man is the amount of women that I have, or the amount of sex that I can have. It's like, that's man shit. You feel what I'm saying? So we internalize that, and it's kind of like cyclic. We ingrain that within our children, within our sons, and we grow from there. So like 11 was too young for me to be fucking, but I started fucking on the strength that one, all of my homies was on some shit like, yo, bro, you late. None of us are virgins. And you the only one that's, I'm like, damn, the fuck, when y'all start fucking? You feel what I'm saying? But then the tables turned when I actually started fucking, and motherfuckers was like, yo, it was like that peer pressure shit. I was literally the first one to start fucking, believing I was the last one. You feel me? But that's the point of what I'm going into, how it starts to where if the system is set up and the mentality is set up to where, you believe and you perceive that this is what makes you a man, you're going to do it. So that also depletes your sexual energy. You're not realizing that if we're sticking to the metaphor that fucking all the time and having a lot of sex makes you a man, then let's just use the synonyms of what I'm talking about, of how sexual energy is creative energy. So that would then imply that being creative is what makes you a man. So if we can change that narrative, and then we can, we'll do some phenomenal shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll do some phenomenal shit. And I'll explain some of the phenomenal shit that I've done by retaining, my sexual energy and transmuting it into creation, and show the magnitude of that. And it's like, I want to speak on this because it's like, when we wonder why our mind is fucked up, why we can't think, and why like we're always drained and we don't have the energy, it's because we're having sex too much. You know what I mean? And not only having sex too much, we're having orgasms too much, and we're depleting our life force. Your orgasm is your life force energy. That's why it is used to create a new life. You know what I mean? So we're not creating a new life every time we release an orgasm, you know? And then, you know, we get with women who need, you know, and that's a fucked up thing, because it's like the women that we're having sex with aren't having as many orgasms that we're having in a session. You feel what I'm saying? Because they're on their side of the spectrum when it comes to sex and creative energy. They have to withhold it. You feel what I'm saying? It's so taboo for a woman to, you know, be out here popping them off like that, you know, and that's why, and in that shame, guilt, whatever it is that women have, they rarely have orgasms because of the psychological and the spiritual connection that they have developed to where they shouldn't have when they feel off. You feel what I mean? Until, of course, they actually get to that understanding, and they're usually, you know, ages, they're significantly older when that happens. But I'm going to take a quick, you know, I'm not going to go too heavy into it because I want to, you know, this is just the intro. So as always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_ and click the link in the bio to be taken to every connection with me that you want. My merch, my podcast, my vegan course, my So Frail books, and Mastering the Market. Always I thank and appreciate everyone who donates and sponsors me and the channel and the podcast as well. You are greatly appreciated if you would like to do so. All of the information is in the description to your podcast, Cash App, PayPal. Be sure to get my books, So Frail: A Reality to Black Male Masculinity, So Frail 2: Toxic Femininity, and Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life if you're trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we return, we will be discussing So Frail Conversations, Sexual Retention. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back. Sexual energy, right? As I said, sexual energy is creative energy. You know, that is the energy that we use to create and bring things out of the spiritual and out of the mental realms into our physical reality. If you read So Frail, you understand that I break these down as the synergy between the mind, body, and soul complex. There's a synergy between these points. So one doesn't work without the other. But at the same time, one doesn't work without the other, but at the same time, they're all fueled in the same regard. You feel what I'm saying? And our sexual energy is our creative energy, and they go hand in hand. So as I said, there's an agenda for genocide. With the agenda for genocide, they promote the hypersexualization of Black men. Like, you know, that's same as what we do. You know what I mean? They create the mentality and the space for us to be lustful, and then we operate from that. You feel what I'm saying? Again, there's nothing wrong inherently with lust or wanting sex or, you know, getting horny or having those feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't take on that shame. You feel what I'm saying? Because that is one of the things that puts us in the perspective of depleting our energy anyway, just in another way. Because rather than hiding it and saying, okay, we're not supposed to feel these things, you know, we hide those feelings that we have and we operate and use them in other ways. You know, this is where masturbation comes in, excessive masturbation, and then the addiction to porn. You know, it's like that the addiction is not necessarily the pornography itself, but the addiction is receiving the orgasm. That shit feels fucking good. Like there's no way around that shit. You know what I mean? When that tingle hits and like the release feels good, but it's in the ejaculation that depletes us. We need to learn to ejaculate, which is a whole different concept and a practice that we have to redirect the energy and bring it back up to the top. You feel what I'm saying? So when we think about it, like the within the hypersexualization of what we've been conditioned into, like we believe that that's what it is. And that's, like I said, it's one of those things that gives us the mark of a man. So if we make that connection to the fact that sexual energy is creative energy, and if we believe and perceive that sex, having a lot of sex and, is what makes us a man, then by default, if sexual energy is creative energy, then creation, the things that we create, is what makes us a man. You feel what I'm saying? Having a lot of creations makes us a man in essence. You feel what I'm saying? And so this comes into ignorance, and I don't want it to be ignorance in the negative sense of how, how society and, that shit plays out as ignorant. I mean, ignorance in the sense of simply not knowing and not understanding and not comprehending exactly what it is that we're dealing with. You feel what I'm saying? So when they deplete it and we get to that point where we're just having excessive sex, it over time, it has its moments. Over time, it has its moments, and it's cool when we're young and we're vibrant and we can continue that. But like when we're in our 30s, 40s and shit, and then we're having erectile dysfunctions, we're having, poor performances with sex. Like the whole metaphor that I'm using with this, like creative, like if we're having poor performances with sex, what are we having with our creation at the same time? Because that's what the energy is. It's creative energy. You feel what I'm saying? So if our sex isn't, on par like that, how much is our creation? How great are we at creating shit? You feel what I'm saying? And that's why, that's where we die. And that's a lot of times what has to be promoted, because it's like when any man is in his masculine essence, his divine essence, his pure essence, he learns how to transmute that, and then he can create shit. Not only can he create shit for himself, he can create shit for his family, his people, and he can change their circumstances solely by not having sex. I know, it's fucking amazing, right? It's amazing how that happens. Like they have that whole concept of no nut November, right? You know how productive men are in November? Like, I don't think people really pay attention to it because we don't analyze it, so we don't do statistics and shit like that. But I've talked to dudes who were, during no nut November, they're like, yo, man, I'm horny, man. I don't know what to do. Like, it's like, but it's like, what are you doing with it? You feel what I'm saying? Because our instinct, not instinct, because instinctual things are like, that's our conditioning, is that, when you're horny, you fuck. Not that, oh, yo, there's a creative energy. Like you're being creative. You're coming up with a thought. You feel what I'm saying? You're coming up with a thought. So it's like that connection makes us fuck more. Makes us fuck a lot. Way too much. Way more than we're supposed to. And the reason why I'm saying way more than we're supposed to is because, like I said, we're getting orgasms every time. And don't let us be involved with women with high sex drives. And the thing about a high sex drive with a woman is that, me personally, I don't feel like women have high sex drives. I've never really encountered a woman with a high sex drive, no matter how much she proclaimed it. Tap her out. But the reason why women have high sex drives is because they don't get orgasms as much as we do. You feel what I'm saying? And there's factors that play into that shit. Like, I feel personally like the reason why men aren't able to train themselves is because the reason why men aren't able to train themselves is the same reason why women can't have orgasms, is because the shame that comes with it. You feel what I'm saying? The shame that comes with it. And when we're young, we're taught that sex is so bad. Sex is so, it's a sin to do it before marriage and all of that shit. Hold on. I want to put a quick tangent in that, because this is the part of the religious aspect that people miss and don't get because they don't understand shit. They just listen to other motherfuckers who never understood shit, and they sound good when they're saying it, right? There's no such thing as premarital sex, right? There's no such thing as premarital sex. Let's get that shit clear. And the understanding of premarital sex being a sin fucks with a lot of people's psychology. It fucks with a lot of people's spirit. It fucks with a lot of people's minds. You feel what I'm saying? To know that the urge that I'm getting, the natural biological feeling that I'm getting is bad, it's a sin, it's wrong, and I shouldn't have it, and I shouldn't act on it, is what fucks me up. You feel what I'm saying? For men, it fucks us up because if we do honor that and say, you know what, I'm not going to have sex or anything, we then get caught up in pornography and masturbation because we know we want this feeling, so we do it behind closed doors. You know, I'm not trying to be funny, but I know so many religious people who, quote unquote, say they had to be delivered from masturbation. They had to be delivered from a porn addiction. Why do you get addicted to porn? Because you're not able to actually have this encounter. Because you feel, oh, I'm sinning. You can't sin. There's no such thing as premarital sex. The reason why there's no such thing as premarital sex is because the actual act of sex is what consummates marriage. The moment you penetrate, that's when you're married to the person. Yeah, a lot of us, we're already polygamous. We're already bigamous, and we've already married so many different people already, because that's what consummates a marriage. It's not the ring. It's not the dowry. It's not the goat to trade for the families. It ain't all of that shit. It's the actual act of when you penetrate. When the penis penetrates the vagina, you are married. You feel what I'm saying? It's written in plain text. It comes out and says, after the ceremony, it says he went in and married her. Well, what did he do? He fucked her. You feel me? He fucked her. And the religious text doesn't show you that conceptualization. So they got you believing that the actual act is the sin. So it's like, oh, premarital sex, you don't get married before you had, like, you can't, like, by that definition of premarital sex, you're basically having sex before sex, which is impossible. Because sex, like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, but the point that I was saying with that is that fear is what fucks up our sexual energy and our depletion, because we don't understand that, you know, we don't, like, we think because we're not physically having sex, but we still want this orgasm. We still want this craved desire that, okay, I'm going to masturbate. This is where that excessive shit comes in. You know what I mean? We've beaten off a lot because, you feel me, we get in that mentality of, I know these feelings are here. I'm horny for a reason. Now, not only that, we're not even taught the connection between sexual energy and creative energy, so we don't create shit. We go watch porn. You feel me? And then the same thing from the same perspective of our women, it's like, this is why they don't have orgasms. So it's going to drive back into what I was talking about with the sexual drives. It keeps them from having orgasms. You feel what I'm saying? So that guilt, that shame, all of that shit is tied to it. Women, like, you know how many women feel ashamed for wanting to have sex? Like, you feel me? Oh, you're a hoe, you're this, you're that. No, she's a human, bro. Your pheromones triggered your pheromones triggered her senses, and it sent her into that frenzy. Just naturally, like we're supposed to, but that's just from the pheromone perspective, the biological perspective. But then we have created the physical, lustful desire for it too. So now we create, you know, a certain woman has to have this. She's thick, that, and you know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third, and she's thick as shit. But that makes us want that. And it's like we crave it from a lustful perspective. So in that same token too, where women are taught to completely, you know what I'm saying, be afraid of sex and be afraid of wanting to explore their sexual side. No, don't do it. But men are encouraged to do it on 100% level. But it's like, we're never taught what sex is. None of us really have the sex talk. Like the whole bullshit, the birds and the bees. Why the fuck? That shit don't even make sense to me. I still don't know what the fuck it represents. Like, what the fuck are we talking about birds and bees for? Be like, yo, your children aren't stupid. You feel what I'm saying? Birds and bees, that conversation isn't going to work. You need to have a real conversation with them and talk about sex, but you need to understand that deeper aspects. So many parents say shit like, and so many adults say, you're too young to know about that. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. This is not just about sex. This is about life in general. The moment your child comes to you and formulates the question, all right, I'm going to run that back. The moment your child can formulate the question, they have an answer. You can tell them, yo, you're too young to know about this. All right, they're going to get the answer. They're going to figure it out. You feel what I'm saying? I started having sex when I was 11 years old. 2 reasons: peer pressure and nobody was telling me the truth. Okay? my homies, all of them, I thought I was the last one to start fucking. I wasn't. I was the first. But I didn't know I was the first because I didn't see anybody fucking. Like, I didn't, nobody, like, you know what I'm saying? So when I actually got it, and I'm coming back to telling, yo, man, I done got something, bro, that shit. What it feel like? What you mean what it feel like, motherfucker? What? You feel me? Nah, man, I was just playing. The motherfucker set me up. But the point is, before I even engaged in that, I'm talking on, yo, what is sex? What is sex? Like, what does it feel like? Oh, you too young to know. All right. Now, but even if, when I look back at it, even if they would have had to talk with me, they wouldn't have been able to give me what was needed. You feel what I'm saying? What was needed as far as sex. Because like I said, sex has several components to it. It's not just the penetration. You feel what I'm saying? It's not just the feeling. It has the mental component to it, the spiritual component to it. You know what I'm saying? And nobody ever really talks about it because it's motherfuckers fucking that don't know this shit. Grown adults having babies and shit, they don't even know the mental and spiritual connection of sex. They haven't even tied it to creative energy outside of that. You know what I'm saying? So they wouldn't have been able to give me the guidance and the insight anyway. You feel what I'm saying? But as kids, you know, these are natural urges. This is natural shit. You feel me? But if we taught it, our kids wouldn't act on. Like, you can't just run a scare tactic. Oh, you'll catch a disease. Catch a disease, like having a disease and getting a baby, those aren't fear tactics. You feel what I'm saying? They're not fear tactics. Because there's so many that still try to, that, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't stop anything. But then when you can peel back the layers, you can start to talk about what sex really is. You know what I'm saying? How it's a transmutation of energy, how it creates energy, how you can, like, and then you can really break that down to the mind of a child. You feel what I'm saying? For them to understand it fearlessly without, feeling awkward. Oh, I got to have the sex talk with my child. They growing up, this and the third. I'm going to try to keep them like this for, I'm going to go to their gynecologist and make sure that hymen stays intact. No, don't do that shit. Teach them and let them make the choice. They'll know. If you teach them the right shit, they will start to understand. If I would have known about energy, if I would have known about all of that shit at 11, I wouldn't have fucked. Like, I say a good 70 to 80% of the women I had sex with, I would not have had sex with if I would have known other shit outside of that. All the big homies did was give me a condom and said, be safe. Like, that was the sex talk, really. And then told me, like, how to plow her out and, make her come and shit. Like, but that's it. You feel me? That's it. So it's like, the point that I was making with the sex drives and shit, I kind of got into a tangent. But the point that I was making with the sex drive is how it's tied to men being, this is why our sex drives die so fast and why women's last so long is because of the orgasmic factor. You feel what I'm saying? The fact that we're not retaining our sexual energy and the fact that women are overly retaining their sexual energy. You feel what I'm saying? So when I was saying that the sex drive thing was never a problem to me, like I'm selectively celibate now, and I'll tell why in a little bit, but in the moments when I was sexually active, that was never a problem to me for women. Oh, I got a high sex drive. Can't no man. Like, all right, we'll see, motherfucker. And it got to the point where, when we have sex with women, if we don't come or we don't have that orgasm, they feel something's wrong with them. And it's not. It's like our bodies we're not supposed to be having an orgasm every time. I literally had, I'm probably like 18, 17, 18, maybe 19. I don't know. But I was in that bracket. And like me and this woman, we were like going, she was like, this is too long. The fuck you mean it's too long? It's not long enough. I'm not there yet. Let's keep going. And she's like, well, what is it about me that's not making you? I was like, it's nothing. I'm enjoying the moment and I'm not allowing myself to let it go right now. What are you talking about? Nah, you should have been. No, I shouldn't have been. I should not have come yet. Like that's not what, because early on I hadn't like, when you're young as I was having sex, like you just want the experience. Like for me, that's what it was. I just wanted the experience. It wasn't even the nut. I didn't even have to get that because even still, I'm trying to just fuck. Like I'm not trying to bust because it's like, I'm worrying about, damn, I'm probably gonna get in trouble after this one. I'm worried about, is my mama coming home? Is they parents coming home? Can I get in and get out before all of this? Like I wasn't trying to, I was just trying to be in it for as long as possible before they came. before the people, you know what I'm saying, before people started coming on, you know, you have that small window getting out of school. Get out like 2:30, 3:30, the bus bring you home. 2:30, the bus bring you home. You home by like 3:34, and you know your parents get off about 5 or 6. You got that hour and a half, 2 hour window to knock something off. You feel what I'm saying? That's what you're trying to get. For me, it wasn't about the nut. It was like, yo, I just want to be in it and be out. You feel what I'm saying? So I never practiced or never even developed the ability to do that. But the women that was like, okay, I got a high sex drive, and it's like, yo, you can't, how are you doing this to me? It's like, yo, this is actually what I'm supposed to do to you. You feel what I'm saying? But the factors that come into that is that, like I said, when it comes back into the shame, you feel what I'm saying? Men aren't supposed to, you know, I mean, women aren't supposed to be having sex like that. But it's like, yo, we fucking people, we're fucking women. Like, who the fuck, like, who else we gonna fuck? Never mind. But it's like, that's how it develops. You feel what I'm saying? That's how it develops. That's how the sex drives and things happen. That's why when you look at it, case in point, they say black women, this is not a slight to us as black men. Like this is not me shitting on us, right? I love us to like. But when they say black women are among the highest, the highest levels of entrepreneurship, the highest levels academically and things like that, and they're like, how? They're not getting orgasms. They're not depleting their life force energy. They're restraining, and they're using it to create shit. They're not having babies, but they're creating businesses. They're creating shit. Like, that's what they're using their creative energy for. You know what I'm saying? But on the other hand, for us, it's like, we're not creating because we're depleting. You feel me? We're depleting. And this is what the transitional phase is. So when you look at, quote unquote, medical sciences and shit, they're like, orgasm is healthy. Have healthy orgasms. You know what I'm saying? It's good to do that. It releases stress levels. And no, it don't. Like, no, it don't. It increases it. Low key. Whether people are willing to, like, you're relaxed. It relaxes you. Don't get me wrong. It relaxes you, but it doesn't reduce stress. You feel what I'm saying? Because now we can go to the biological perspective of it. Stress is a hormonal induced situation. You feel what I'm saying? Your adrenal glands have to, what is it? Cortisol? Your adrenal glands are going to release cortisol. And that's the stress inducer. And you're going to continue, like, having an orgasm doesn't do that shit. Because your adrenal glands aren't in your nuts. You feel me? Your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. You dig what I mean? If anything, what would logically make sense if they were to say it was like drinking water releases stress because it helps your kidneys. But your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. You feel what I'm saying? And your adrenal glands is where your stressors are released from. Your stress hormones. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not releasing stress. It's relaxing you. That's not relaxed. Being relaxed and reducing stress is not the same shit. You can still be stressed the fuck out and be relaxed. You feel what I'm saying? Still be stressed the fuck out and be relaxed. This is what I was talking about in one of the recent podcasts. Is on stress. Matter of fact, the recent podcast on stress and how you have the sympathetic and parasympathetic mode. If you're in sympathetic mode, which is fight or flight response, you can be relaxed in sympathetic mode. It doesn't matter. That's still your stress response. You feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to our sexual energy, like, it doesn't release anything. Masturbation, it doesn't do anything. Continual sex, it doesn't do anything. But what it does do is this. It depletes your life force energy. Studies have shown that every orgasm that you have, men and women, it's the same. This is why when women have an orgasm, and it's amazing. It's funny though, but when women have an orgasm, they just lay there. They go to sleep. Like, this is why you go to fuck to sleep. I'm gonna break it down to you. It's not because, oh, the sex was just so good and it was amazing and wore me out. Like, this is why when you have an orgasm, you release the energy equivalent of running 20 miles. Most motherfuckers can't even run 5 straight. And during a sexual encounter, we're releasing the energy equivalent of running 20 miles. That's powerful as fuck, because as men, we're doing it 3 and 4 times a day. You feel what I'm saying? Women, oh, I didn't nut yet, so I ain't come yet. Round 2 or round 3. That's why y'all can keep going rounds. And this is why we can't. because we're releasing the energy equivalent of running 20 miles. We do this shit. Let's say we go 3 rounds. Let's say we got the stamina. And that's why I was like, oh, when we first started, it was, you was able to do it. Yes, over time, I die down because I can't charge up. You feel me? I was watching the episode of Divorce Court, and this lady was like, when we first got married, the sex was good, and, we was having it 3 times a day. And then the man was like, she was like, then it just stopped. So I felt it was somebody else. No, I'm tired, motherfucker. Like, I'm tired, and I can't admit that I'm tired to you. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Because to admit that you're tired is like, oh, you can't hang. No, you can't run 60 miles, motherfucker. Shit, I don't give a fuck how much in physical shape I'm in. I cannot run 60 miles. You feel what I'm saying? Look at a marathon. A marathon is what, 26.5 miles? How long does that take to run? You feel me? When I lived in Philly, they used to block off, when they had the marathons, it was the Broad Street Run, I think it was. The whole day was taken. This was about a 12-hour situation to run 26.5 miles. Now, this is running that over a 12-hour time frame. Our section, a good healthy section is what, 45 minutes to an hour and a half maybe? That's where you putting it down. You feel what I'm saying? In 45 minutes to an hour and a half, I'm releasing the energy equivalent of if I would have ran 12 hours straight. It's not humanly possible, but we make it possible. You feel what I'm saying? So the woman, she was like, yeah, 3, and then it just stopped. And the man was on some shit like, yo, he I just couldn't do it, but he didn't even know why he couldn't do it anymore. Because you're releasing life force energy. You're releasing the equivalent of running 20 fucking miles. You feel me? And you're doing this 3 times a day? Shit. That's impossible to do. It's impossible to do. I challenge any motherfucking man right now. Matter of fact, fuck that. I'm going to flip it. I challenge every woman who wants to go 3 rounds and have 3, 4 rounds, 9 rounds, however you want to go, run the equivalent of that miles in a day. You can't. It's fucking possible. You feel what I'm saying? I was in undergrad. I had a homegirl. She always talking about, yo, a man got to do it for me. We got to go 9 rounds. I looked at her, I said, yo, you can't do 9 rounds. She said, shit, yes, I can. If you doing 9 rounds, your sessions have to be quickies at most, and you're not coming. That's why you have to go 9. But if you're going 9 rounds and every round you busting off, you can't do it. I don't give a fuck who you are. Because it's like, from my own experience, after that first one, she's done. And don't let you be the motherfucker who didn't come and she did and she's laid there. I had to quit. She'll call her girls, I tapped out. He put it down. I tapped out. I couldn't go no more. That's why you couldn't go no more. You depleted the energy equivalent of running 20 miles. The energy equivalent of running 20 miles. And you did it in under 12. You feel what I'm saying? In under 12 hours. You dig what I'm saying? So sometimes because we don't understand sexual energy and we don't understand the full capacity of it, we're ignorant to the shit that we do. You feel what I'm saying? We're ignorant to the shit that we do. And now when we look at men, and it's like they put it on perspective, well, men die faster than women. And there's a direct correlation to that. Our hearts can't take that shit. This is case in point. When they give you the blue pill, and they be like, yo, only take it if your heart is ready. Any erection lasting over 3 to 4 hours, seek medical attention. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's not supposed to fucking happen. You feel me? That's not supposed to happen. Motherfucker be like, yo, I went 3, 4, 5 times and my dick was still hard. It wouldn't go down, so I can't. So what you do? You keep fucking. Not go seek the medical attention. You're like, oh no, I'm still up. I'm gonna go again. Got down, bust another one. You feel me? Oh, it's still up. I'm gonna go again, bust another one. And you wonder why you end up with heart failure at 45, 50 years old. You're depleting your life force energy. You feel what I'm saying? You're depleting your life force energy. Completely. That shit's impossible to do. You cannot run 20 fucking miles. You probably could. Don't get me wrong. You probably could. Motherfuckers got the egos and shit. You could probably run 20 miles, but you damn sure can't run 60. Not in the 24-hour time frame, and we're doing it in an hour. Not only that, let's say we're a chronic masturbator. Say we're watching porn. We have those moments where we just decide, you know what? fuck everybody. I'm home alone. It's my day off. You feel me? I'm just going to binge it out. You feel me? You bust 3, 4, 5 in a day. You ran, literally. You've given off the energy of it. Even if you don't physically feel tired, you've given off the life force energy equivalent of that. That's why you go straight to sleep. You feel me? That's why you go straight to sleep. After playing, like in high school, if you played ball and shit, after the game was over, you went home, you took your shower and shit, you was out. You feel what I mean? You were out. You couldn't continue with the day. You had to recharge. You feel what I'm saying? So this is why sexual energy and the retention is so important. You feel me? Biologically, we are damaging ourselves. So then when we get older, and then, you know, we got the receding hairlines and shit, and we got the body, right? The body, the head itself. This is why hair is so important to understand. The head itself will tell you what parts of your body is damaged, right? The heart is directly correlated to the center of your head. Is that not where we go bald first? All of our nutrients, all of our energy is now depleted and thrown out. And it's like, yo, you got male pattern baldness too young. Do you know when I started fucking? Like, I'm 30 right now, and I'm bald. Like, I'm 30 and I'm bald. And I was always on some, and I looked at my, like, nobody in my family, like, it's not genetic. So people were like, well, maybe you're the first, and it was just reset. No. We have dominant genes, and that's how we pass it down. My uncles don't have it. You feel me? A lot of the old, and it's like, and this is how it is, the more religious uncles who were afraid of it and just waited till marriage and all of that shit, and then they didn't see sex, you know, as a fun thing to do, they got all of their hair. I got an Uncle Joe who's like 70. He got to be 70, pushing 80. He still got his whole hairline intact. It be pissing me off because he get the temp fades and everything. I'm like, how the fuck he still got his hair? Then I look at the other side who don't, and it's like, y'all been fucking since y'all was kids. Like a motherfucker. And then when I put my own shit in perspective, I'm like, damn. And then when I study and I know now, it's like, oh shit, it was the sex that made me lose my shit. I was fucking way too much. Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeen.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise. After reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. I was fucking way too much. And I'm thinking, you know, what is the depletion factor? Because then now you have to understand, like they say the pattern baldness comes from the DHT, which is an extension of testosterone. So when you're increasing your levels of testosterone, right? Testosterone is increased through physical activity. So when you're increasing your levels of testosterone, right, you secrete this DHT, which blocks your hair follicles and makes it fall out. You feel what I'm saying? In addition to the other factors. So when you see where your hair is falling out, you understand what organ in your body is being damaged. But then you have this actual thing connecting to those follicles. You know, I'm like, oh shit, that makes so much sense. It puts so much shit into perspective. You feel what I'm saying? I should not have been fucking as much as I was as a kid. I shouldn't. Like, I shouldn't. I'm not even gonna, that's something that I, in the time frame, I was proud of it. I condoned it. I was like, yo, I got a cousin who used to say, and this was, she's like, yo, you get more pussy than James Bond. And I was like, what? He was like, bruh, every time I turn around, you got a new one. He's like, what is, like, what do you, I'm like, yo, y'all told me to go out here and fuck something. So I came out here and I started fucking something and I just ain't stopped, bro. Like, you feel what I'm saying? So then when I look at it, how many times I was fucking in a day, you know, in a week, the amount, it's like, yo, that shit was crazy. Then it was one thing in high school. It was one thing is like cause there was limits to it. You know what I'm saying? I would have breaks. Some days I would go, you know, 3 days a week or something like that. I'm cool and I'm not doing it. But then undergrad, I'm living by myself. I can go and come in as I please. pun intended. You feel what I'm saying? I'm up 2, 3 in the morning, different chicks. Shit was crazy. Shit was crazy. I would leave one, like, the shit was so crazy. I would leave one, you feel me? Go to my room, shower, and go to another one. You feel me? Like, shit was weird like that. You feel what I mean? But I didn't know any better. I thought this is how it was supposed to be. So I'm not even putting the context to the shit of, damn, bro, like, you're not supposed to be fucking this much. And then it's like when I got into a relationship, we was fucking all the time. Like, all the time. Feel me? Because that's what we believe relationships are supposed to be about. You feel what I'm saying? I like you, you like me, now we cross that bridge, and now we fuck all the time. It didn't help that we both had high sex drives between the two of us. And it was a battle. It was just like, yo, who's gonna, make who come first? And it was fun, but it's like at that point it began to get, okay, it's too much energy being drained. You feel what I'm saying? So then it gets to the point where, as men, you do it too much. And then now you don't even understand how you're deteriorating your health solely by having sex. It's the grace of the creator, or, whatever you choose to call it, that I never caught anything. I mean, granted, I never had unprotected sex either, but I never caught anything. And I'm like, I know people that's like, I'm like, nah, I would never go that. Never caught anything, never had any babies, never had to deal with that side of things. You feel me? But that's the shit that we talk about. Be careful. Don't catch anything. Don't have any babies. Not, bro, you depleting so fucking much. You feel me? It got to a point where I used to smoke weed too. So people didn't know. They were like, yo, you high? No, I'm not high. I'm just tired. Yeah, you high? No, I'm serious. I'm not high. I just finished fucking. I'm tired, bro. Like, I'm finished fucking for today. I was fucking yesterday and the day before that. I'm tired. The fuck? Like, I'm tired. And you can't really dwell in that space because it's like to be tired is quote unquote an illusion. Oh, you're not tired. Because when we're used to working out and, having actual physical activity sessions, it's like that justifies tired. Like, yo, you're just fucking. Your body saying, why the fuck you think we sweat? Because your body, your energy rises. But your energy rises the most during sex. That's why they say sex burns so many different calories. It's like a workout session. You feel what I'm saying? But as men, we've been conditioned to do it so much. And as I said, art imitates the reality. So our music condones it. Our music encourages it. You feel what I'm saying? Our music encourages it. And that's the music that we bump to. I was an R&B type motherfucker. So all the music that I was listening to was about sex and taking a woman from her man. And I'll be damned if that's not all I did. I'm not proud of that shit. It was wrong. I didn't realize how wrong it was till it happened to me. Somebody took a woman from me and shit. And that shit threw me. I was like, man, I was doing it to women that weren't happy. The fuck? You feel me? But it was what it was. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the music that I listened to. It was all like I used to put on music to knock them off and shit. Like, that was me. That was my theme. So, I was sexually active. And then my art, the shit that I was taking in, was conditioning me to continue to be that way. You feel what I'm saying? It was continue. Like, you feel me? So it's like when we look at the sexual retention, we don't even know how much it's connected to our own bodies on the biological level. You feel what I mean? And that is like the very problematic piece to it. Because it's like we releasing all of this shit, but we're not knowing what it's doing to our bodies biologically. You feel me? We shut down, we tense up, and you know what I mean? We just keep it going. Keep it going. And then we're taking on the sexual energies of other women. And then we're taking on the energies that they've been like, you know what I mean? Like, when I went into the archives to become celibate, I had to clear so much. Like, I was like, man, I did not know how much energies I had intertwined with. Man. What J. Cole said, he was like, she said she only fucked like 4 or 5 niggas, so you got to multiply by 3. That was a very true sentiment. But from the energy perspective, how much energy has been transmuted within, you feel me? That's a different topic. We're talking about the actual retention part. So the point that I'm now going to transition into now, because we're talking about the orgasms and shit like that and what we're releasing, is a very important concept in the dynamic of the retention, and it connects with our Kundalini energy, and it connects with our actual brain and our spinal cord, and it's called the cerebral spinal fluid, right? Within our brain, we have what's called the third ventricle, right? Within the third ventricle, it's like a little pot almost, but that's where our cerebral spinal fluid is created. That cerebral spinal fluid travels down to the base of your spine and back up to your brain. The CSF fluid is the same. It's the same consistency. Like, this is one of the reasons why I really don't like westernized medicine, because they compartmentalize everything and separate it, as opposed to teaching you that everything is the same. It's one thing, whether you have, the brain, the nerves, like all of these things, they give you the different names. So it goes to certain things. It's easier to understand. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, they never bring it back to say, okay, it's still one. You feel what I'm saying? So when we look at things like cerebral spinal fluid and seminal fluid, they're made of the same consistency. Like, you feel me? They're made of the same consistency, same elements, same nutrients, same, like the thing itself, like the liquid itself is made of the same thing. You feel what I'm saying? So that energy, the cerebral spinal fluid, it runs down to the base of our spine, our spinal cord or whatever, and it lubricates. It helps to lubricate the nerves, and it helps with the nerve impulses, the action potentials that rise off or whatnot. What we're supposed to do when a cerebral spinal fluid hits the base of the spine is send it back up. We never send it back up. We send it out of our bodies. This is why Kundalini is important, why meditation is important, because with the Kundalini meditation, you center yourself. There's a very, very powerful exercise. The equivalent of it, it's funny. And like, this is why I be trying to tell motherfuckers, women are so dope, because they do the shit that we're supposed to do too. But because it's a woman shit, we be like, I'm not doing it. Kegels. When women do Kegels, we be thinking because I don't have a vagina, I can't do Kegels. No, the actual muscle movement that Kegels do, we're supposed to do that. And that's how we send our energy back up to our brain. You feel me? We send the cerebral spinal fluid back up to the third ventricle of the brain. It's supposed to recycle and replenish. We're supposed to take it to the top, not leave it at the bottom. You feel what I'm saying? That's what the Kundalini is. So when women be getting them yoni eggs and shit, and they be, I got to practice my Kegel so I could be snatch your soul. What they're doing when they're Kegeling is sending their energy back up. Same shit. Their whole orgasm, the yoni juice, all of that shit, like, that's still CSF. You feel me? Same consistency. You dig what I mean? Same nutrients, all of that shit. They practice that shit. We don't. So when we're in the meditative state, we should be Kegeling. And what I mean by Kegeling is when you actually take your pelvic floor muscles. You feel me? You squeeze them really tight. And there's a very, very powerful sensation that you're going to get that starts at the bottom of your the base of your spine. You'll feel it if you ever Kegel. And it sounds funny as shit, cause like a man Kegeling and shit, because he ain't got yonis. But forget the word Kegel and think about the principle of it. It's the contraction, the solid contraction of the pelvic floor, which is your your perineum muscles, your piriformis. It's a set amount of muscles that make up the base of your the base of yourself, basically. You know what I mean? And it's also where your root chakra sits. It's also where this energy sits. But that power is that when you do the Kegel exercise and you squeeze really, really tight, right? If you strengthen that, you will strengthen your prostate off rip. You feel what I'm saying? You strengthen your prostate and you reduce the amount of inflammation and swelling and enlargement that has in the prostate, because our prostates are over enlarged and shit because we're having too many orgasms. The prostate sits right around the seminal ducts and the seminal fluids. And every time we have one, the prostate has to contract. This is why when it comes, we get that tight squeeze and it shoots out. It's the muscular action. But if you strengthen that within the pelvic floor, you'll get this. It's a very, very amazing sensation, but it's not quite the orgasm sensation. It's less than that. But when you squeeze and you hold it tight, you will feel how much power it is. And that's what you focus on sending back up to your brain. You have to practice that. You feel what I'm saying? And that's the power of the semen retention. So that way, when you're having that, you're able to stop it and reverse it. You feel what I'm saying? You're able to stop it and reverse it and send it back up. So when you get that orgasmic feeling, You don't send it out. That's why you don't ejaculate. You injaculate and you send it back up. This is some powerful shit. This is the powerful quintessential piece of creation for men. When we can master this exercise, when we can master the Kegels and shit, and we can strengthen our pelvic floor, we also strengthen our ability to retain our semen. And when we get the orgasmic feeling, we can channel it up to creation. And then we can send it back up to our brain. Our bodies will get really hot. But at the same time, what happens is it stimulates and it clears your mind. And then now you're able to go in and create the shit that you want to create. That's what sexual energy is about. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, when I began practicing celibacy, like in my initial point of celibacy, my intent was, I'm just going to give myself a break because I've been fucking too much. Like, I'm not like, I started at 25, I've been celibate since 25, which was 2015. Well, okay, let me say, because I started over. I ain't gonna lie. Like 2015, I was celibate. And then I worked in this call center and these women made a bet who's going to fuck me first because they knew I was celibate. I mean, I don't know who won between them, but I won overall because I fucked them. Like, you feel me? Not bragging on that shit. The point that I'm making is that I was celibate and then I stopped, but then I started back. So in 2016, this is when I became selectively celibate because it was like I had reached that point, but I started studying things like tantras, sutras. I started studying actual sexual energy and the connection. Like I started studying it deeper and it became different. Like, and at that point I was like, celibacy then became easy because it wasn't like I was refraining from sex. It was like, oh, there's a level to the sexual experience that I'm supposed to have. And if I can tell that you're not on that level, I'm not fucking you. So it wasn't about, oh, I got to refrain from sex and abstain. No, when the time came, and sometimes you get those illusions. Don't get me wrong. You get those illusions. You get them woke women that think they own that shit because they woke. And then you find out they not. They just like the whatevers. So then you got to go back in the archives and be celibate again. But, so I practiced that, up until like 2016. Then I met a woman and, we kind of did what we did. Didn't work out. But at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I could be selectively celibate. At that point, I'm able to maneuver. But in that time frame, what I did with that, with that energy, that's when I realized it was creative energy. Because I was like, yo, the moments that I got horny, I said, okay, let me create something. I need to do something like, quote unquote, distract myself. But then in the distraction, I was like, oh shit, I'm making good shit. Like I'm creating shit. You feel me? 2016, I wrote So Frail. That was the first book I ever wrote. Right? I wrote So Frail. 2017, I wrote Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw, Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. But now, it wasn't like I just wrote these books. I studied and I did other things, but I used that creative energy to do these things. You feel what I'm saying? When I worked I worked for a valet service or whatnot. 2016, when I first started there, I was just a regular valet, because I was in school at the time. I was just a regular valet, trying to make, ends meet while I was in school, end up leaving school. But in that time, I started in 2016. By 2017, I had moved up to management. And everybody was like, yo, you did this the fastest in the company. How did you do it? I said, I wasn't fucking. What? I don't get it. Because it was creative energy. And I used that energy and I transmuted it into creation. And that creation was more money, more revenue. And to do that, I was like, yo, I was learning shit about the job. And I was learning so much that it was like they couldn't deny me what I asked for. So within that, I was like, I started in it was 2016. I started in March of 2016. By April of 2016, I was in management. And there was people there 10 years longer than me. Like, they were like, how did you do that so fast? It's me, bro. Like, and so then when I was explaining, yo, I'm celibate. It's like, they think I'm just refraining from sex, not realizing that I'm transmuting my energy to a different space. I'm still fucking, technically. I'm still fucking. But the orgasms that you're seeing are so frail a reality to Black man masculinity. Hitting it raw, living the raw, plant-based lifestyle for life. Mastering the market. Comprehensive guide to Forex trading. The 90-day vegan course. Transitioning people into the plant-based lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? The Just Seen podcast. These things that I created, these are orgasms. I know it seems like, oh shit, like these are fucking orgasms. And if we can put if we can, as men, teach that shit, like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have to run the 20 miles this time. You feel what I'm saying? I didn't have to, but I took that time to have the quote unquote sexual experience. Like before this shit came out, you feel me? As the orgasm, which led to the creation, that's the baby or whatnot, there was shit like, for example, I use hitting and rock. I didn't just wake up and say, oh, I could write a book on plant-based transitioning. Nah, I didn't do that. I've been studying and learning this shit for damn near ever. Like, I'm a forensic biologist. You know what I mean? Like, so I studied that scientific aspect of it. Then, you know, I did some time in med school. I learned all of these different components, genetics and all of this shit. And then I learned nutrition a little bit. And then I was like, oh, so this was the fucking part. All of this shit was the fucking part. And then the book is the orgasm. You feel me? And that's one of the hardest parts of it. You know what I mean? The work that you got to put in that time frame. So the selectively celibate part, me being celibate, it had nothing to do with sex. It was the physical sex. I wasn't physically having sex. No, but I was fucking a lot still on that greater level, on that spiritual level, on that mental level. And I was busting off a lot. You feel what I'm saying? I know it's getting very graphic, but the metaphor sticks and it works because sexual energy is creative energy. And I have the proof for it. You feel what I'm saying? I have the proof for it. And I went into those moments of, you know, solitude and, you know, the darkness to learn how to actually do these things. You feel what I'm saying? So this is the power of sexual retention. This is the power of sexual retention. Imagine if, let's just say this, right? My entrepreneur journey and shit, like when I started creating all this shit that I was creating, my first one released when I was in 2016. I was 26 years old. You feel me? So Frail was my first entrepreneur thing that I had done. I was 26 years old, right? And I quote unquote started this process in 2014. Well, really 2015, but 2014 was when I made up my mind to start studying and I need to do all these things because I lost my grandmother. And, you know, this is not a slight or a negative expression of her or anything like that. But, you know, both of my grandfathers are already dead. You know, when I lost my grandmother, it was like, there was nothing for us she didn't have anything to pass on. You feel what I'm saying? And so at that point I was like, damn, what will we have? What will and it's like, that shit has to change. So at 2014, that's when my mom made it. And I was like, I got to be an entrepreneur to do this shit. So it went hand in hand, me practicing celibacy and then me creating this shit. You feel what I'm saying? As I said, in 2016, So Frail was my first orgasm. You feel what I'm saying? Hitting It Raw was my second. So Frail 2 was somewhere in there, maybe my third. And then, you know, my vegan class and then mastering the market, these things these are all orgasms. This Just Sing podcast, this is an orgasm. The shit that I'm able to talk about is life experience. You feel what I'm saying? Life experience. And like now, this shit is going to sound totally disgusting, but y'all are getting orgasms. The conversations and shit, the deep shit, the shit that I'm coming to, the experiences that I have, the lessons, these are orgasms. This is the power of creative energy, right? This is the power of the creative energy. It sounds so gross. It's like, yo, y'all like getting orgasms, but it's not gross in that context. You know what I'm saying? But the point that I was saying all that for was, imagine if I would have had this information when I was 11 years old. When my first experience with sex was be creative. Like, be creative. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I used to write music, you know what I'm saying? I still do. Like, but I used to like actively do mixtapes. You feel what I'm saying? I got what? The Domino Effect, Snack Time, Heat Wave, Business and Pleasure. I got like 5 or 6 projects that I've done. I didn't even know what I was doing at the time because like when I was so young, I was doing them, but it was like, I didn't put the connection piece together. Like, I would lock in, I wouldn't fuck with nobody. I would just, you know what I mean? And then it'll come out and it'll be like, oh, I was having orgasms because I was using my creative energy. You dig what I'm saying? And like I said, if we were able to teach this and, you know, this retention to our sons early, ain't nothing wrong with fucking, you know, but understand that it's not just physical. You have the mental and you have the spiritual as well too. You feel what I'm saying? Let your creative energy be transmuted into that. Like I said, if at 11 years old, I would have like, If at 11 years old I had a father who was me, shit, I don't know what the fuck I would have done by now. I can't even put into words like how much time, because when I really put it into perspective, I did all this shit in 4 years. 4 to 5 years. It's literally 2020 now. You feel what I'm saying? All of this shit was done. This is not for me to brag. I'm not bragging or saying, yo, I did this shit. I'm expressing the power of creative energy. I'm expressing the power of understanding sexual energy fully. And then understanding that you don't have to necessarily stop physically. You don't have to stop fucking. You just have to transmute what you're doing physically. You feel what I'm saying? And it got to that point, like, I had sex with so many women. It's not a gloating moment. It's like, what did I have to show for it? That's what really put into perspective for me. I just have bodies and experiences. Like when I get around homies, I'm like, yeah, I fought this chick, da 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 da. I fought this chick, yo, I had a threesome here. I had like, you know what I'm saying? These conversations are just like, that's it. What's there to show for it other than commentary? You feel me? Other than commentary. As men, if we are able 100% to shift that and say, okay, now let's remove it from the physical. This is all the same energy, and let's put it in the mental. You feel what I'm saying? Let's put it in the mental. Another example, a part of putting it into the mental was 2015. 2015, I read, between 2015 and 2016, I read over 180 books. I know I did. Not no little bullshit ass pamphlet type books. I read thick ass books. Like at least on average, the books were like 200 some pages. You feel what I'm saying? I was fucking those books. Like that's what I was doing with them. So when people look at, they be like, yo, your knowledge base is this, that, and the third. It's like, how did you? I stopped fucking, but I was fucking. I stopped physically fucking, but I started fucking mentally. You feel what I'm saying? So the shit, the expressions and shit that I took, those are orgasms. Those are orgasms. It's like, how do you formulate shit? How does your mind work like this? Because I make sure that I use my creative energy for that. Spiritual energy too. I do the same thing. And that's what brings the alchemy out of this shit. That shit takes it to a whole nother level. You feel what I'm saying? But it didn't happen until it was the retention, until I learned, okay, let me understand first that sexual energy is creative energy. Let me master that. And now let me understand that the mind, body, and soul is a synergy. You feel me? I talk about this in So Frail. You feel me? The mind, body, and synergy, they're a synergistic point. I don't go into the sexual aspect because I'm saving that for So Frail 3. That's the icing on the cake. I need y'all to understand masculinity first. I need y'all to understand femininity second. And then we're going to put it together to make divinity. And you're going to see how I did all of the shit that I did. You feel what I'm saying? But the point is that once we transition that and we shift it, we go to the mental. You feel what I'm saying? And then we have that aspect go to spiritual. The world is our oyster. And we can do nothing but make pearls. You feel what I mean? And imagine teaching our sons this early. Like I did this shit on the whim. Like I said, when I was doing my music and shit, it was like, motherfuckers used to like, how are you so good? I was like, I'm just a writer, bro. That's what I contributed to. But I wasn't fucking. But when I wasn't physically fucking. I was putting it on paper, putting it on pens. Like people heard some of the punchlines that I was come up with. They heard some of the things that they were like, yo, how the fuck did you do that? You feel what I'm saying? Like that shit is like, it's easy to do when you're creative. A lot of us aren't creative, you know, and we're not creative because we don't understand that the moments we get horny, the moments that we want to fuck, what we're really doing is our body is yearning, our mind and our soul both are still yearning for orgasms too. But we just give our physical to orgasm and we deplete that shit. You feel what I mean? Like and now I can look and say, I have shit to show for who I've been fucking. And by who, I mean, of course, I'm talking about the mental and the spiritual levels now for the retention and the creative energy that I've been doing. Like I got babies out here. Not physical. Don't get me wrong. Ain't nobody gonna come out the woodwork and say, yo, you're the daddy, good night. I don't have any of that. I don't have any of those. I mean, my children. I call my creations my children. You feel me? So Frail's the oldest. Hidden and Raw is the second oldest. And you know what I mean? Like these things are my children because my creative energy brought them into the world. You feel what I'm saying? And as black men, if we can collectively ascend above that shit, get to the point where we're mastering our sexual energies, mastering this creative energy, mastering this shit 100%, this is where the fear comes in. You cannot stop a creative man. You can't. He's going to figure it out. He's going to figure something. He's going to use his creative ability to figure it out. And when he does, he's going to skeet on you. He's going to skeet on you. And that's going to be a powerful creation, you know. But as long as we're stuck on a physical form of that shit, we know we don't want physical babies. You feel what I'm saying? We don't we don't want the physical babies aspect of it, but we don't know that we can create other babies in this world, other forms of creation. So we don't, you know. So the hypersexualization, all of that shit is like, we're going to tell you what to do with your creative energy. You know, when you get creative, I'm going to make it so I'm going to create this school system so your creativity dies. Your mental and spiritual creativity dies. And the only thing that matters is like, I used to go to school, you know what I mean? My grades were good. I didn't have to struggle or have to work too hard to be smart. So I went to school for the girls. The fuck? You let Shorty say she want to skip class. Okay, let's go. You feel me? I don't even know how I didn't get caught doing some of the shit that I did. Damn, the universe, the ancestors, the gods, they were looking out for me. But I think this was all because these were all lessons that I ultimately have to give back. You feel me? So I'm still paying my debt. But it's like, when I look at it, it's like a lot of us go to school for that. A lot of us, like, I know homies that went to college and shit. When I first went to undergrad, motherfuckers like, yo, I'm gonna have a girl in this dorm. I'm gonna have a girl in this dorm. I'm gonna have all the bitches, bro. I'm gonna have them all, yo. I said, man, I've been doing that shit since I was like 15 years old. That shit don't intrigue me no more. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be a monogamous one-woman man. You feel me? That was a challenge to me. Let me do that shit. Because I already had women, you know, in college already. When I was a teenager, when I was a kid, like I had women in college. I had grown women already. I had women that were already on their own shit. I had women at multiple high schools at the time. I had, you know what I mean? I had it. Like that shit, it didn't thrill me anymore. You feel what I'm saying? But when we're taught that that's our creative energy, and then we reach that peak, we stop because now we're like, I don't know how to do anything mentally or spiritually. And that's where our fuck up comes in. You feel what I'm saying? That's where our fuck up comes in. But if we teach our boys from the jump, nothing's wrong with fucking, but learn how to fuck on the mental level and learn how to fuck on the spiritual level. And let your orgasms run loose into the world. Not physically, but mentally and spiritually. And you'll see how much you can create in this motherfucker. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes Merch and get your merchandise right now. All right. I know. This one was a wild one. I feel like the metaphor works. Not only is it a metaphor, it's reality too. Like, you feel what I'm saying? This is what creative energy is. This is what sexual energy really is. You know what I mean? And when we ascend above the physical aspect of it, the carnal aspect of it, we can create a lot of shit. And that's when we become liberated on a different level. You know, that's when we become liberated on a different level. You know, celibacy is the quintessential piece of that. But when you're practicing celibacy, don't just refrain from sex. Don't resist temptation. Like, I get people, you know, they ask me like, how do you resist temptation? I don't resist temptation, but I have reached a point where I can't be tempted by certain shit. You feel me? So there's no reason to resist it. Like when you are able to be above that level of what the temptation is, it can't tempt you. So there's nothing to resist. My focus is not having to do that. You feel what I'm saying? I deal with women who, when I say, you know, I practice celibacy and shit, and they're wondering, oh, what if she comes along with shit? Like, that's not what you have to worry about. Like, I've been, you know, and it's like, it works twofold for me because it's like, fuck, I've been getting attention from women all my life. That shit don't matter. Like, the fuck? So it's like, she got to come stronger than that. Like, you feel me? Now, you can't just come with the physical aspect. And that's because I've reached sexual levels mentally and spiritually. You feel what I mean? And by reaching levels sexually, mentally, like reaching the sexual levels mentally and spiritually, it's like, if you can't fuck my mind or you can't fuck my soul, you can't, like, you're stuck when you trying to fuck my body. Like granted, we can have the intercourse, we can have that, but if you can't fuck my mind and you can't fuck my soul, you trash. And this doesn't mean like you're trash as a person, a human being. I mean, your sex is trash. Because when we take away the physical aspect, and I mean, like, when people say, yo, how do you, I don't mean it like you touching my mind and my soul physically, like, I don't get, that shit never made sense to me. How motherfuckers are like, yo, it just never made sense. But I do know this. When I will always understand, like, now I'm gonna tie it all in, how when I would run into women who their sex drive didn't matter because I had already fucked their soul and I already fucked their mind, their body opened up for me. It was that simple. But it wasn't simple. Like, you feel me? You got to be at a certain understanding with yourself to be able to do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But as men, we don't do that. And here's the mind fuck. Because I know a lot of dudes who, oh, I'm gonna try to stimulate my mind and get this spiritual shit on point, and I'm gonna get all that. But no, you ain't. No, you ain't. Because one of two things is gonna happen, right? Either you're gonna get the low frequency women who carry themselves high frequently, but they're still low frequency people. You're gonna get those, or you're gonna shift in yourself, and you're not gonna, like, you're literally gonna shift, like, in the quest to try to make this, to try to, I see it happen all the time. Dudes, I'm gonna go drop some knowledge in her DMs and shit. Like, all right, you're gonna keep studying and studying and studying and learning, trying to regurgitate, and then something's gonna snap and it's gonna break, and then you just, oh shit. Then you're gonna ascend for real, and you're gonna see life differently. I'm like, damn, I can't. But see, that's where it becomes easy because, the physical is the last piece to it. You got to master your sexual energy spiritually. You got to master your sexual energy mentally. Then you can master your sexual energy physically. But to do that, you have to stop using your sexual energy physically first to understand and move up to the mental and move up to the spiritual. You feel what I'm saying? This woke shit pisses me off on this regard, because you motherfuckers get so fucking conscious that you become androgynous beings. No, I'm still a man who likes the fucking woman in all aspects. So I love the vagina too. However, because I love the woman, and that's another part too, as men, we've only been conditioned to like vagina, not the actual woman. That was something I had to learn too. Like, we don't be fucking really. And this is why it's so easy just to do the physical, because we masturbate inside vaginas. We don't have sex. But whatever, you digs. But anyway, the point of that was that, you feel what I'm saying? Because of, I love the full totality of a woman. I love the full totality. I'm willing, I want to have sex with her soul. I want to have sex with her mind. And I want to have sex with her body. You feel what I'm saying? So if I can't get aroused on all three of those levels, I can't physically fuck you. You feel what I'm saying? I can't. It just don't work. Like, it's going to be dead to me. And I didn't realize this until it was the last woman that I had sex with before I went celibate again. Like, this was when I was with the situation with the women who made the bet who was going to fuck me first and shit. I should have known that was some low vibrational shit, but fuck it. I've learned that when you celibate, women throw it more. If I would have known that concept, I would have been celibate way earlier. My levels would have went crazy through the roof when I was on that level, on that frequency level. But anyway, you feel what I'm saying? So I'm having sex with this woman and shit physically. Like, I had got to her point, mentally, like, I got that, but I had not realized that she had not aroused me mentally. She damn sure didn't arouse me spiritually. And then I fucked her. And bam, she popped off quick. It was like, damn, you know how women be like, yo, damn, that's it. Like, when you pop off at like 5-7 minutes and shit, like, that's what she did. And I was like, damn. But as I'm in it, it was just like, it's a body. Like, there was not even, I couldn't feel her aura. I couldn't feel her energy. There was nothing there. I was like, yo, this is just a body, bro. And at that moment, I realized that I needed more. At that moment, I realized that I needed more. And that's when I was able to go back in. And then I was able to study and go in and say, yo, because I was mulling over that shit. I was like, why the fuck did I just not feel that shit? It ain't like I couldn't, like I was able to physically stay up and everything like that. That's not what I'm implying, but I couldn't feel it. Like I was in it and I could not feel a connection with this person. And I was like, all right, so I took that time to go in. I was like, oh, this wasn't a mental arousal. She didn't do that. This wasn't a spiritual arousal. It was like solely, she was stacked, bro. Like shit. Like she was thicker than a Snicker. Thicker than a Snicker. Like, damn. But it was like, it needed to be more than that. So then one thing led to the next. I started, practicing celibacy a lot more, but then I started studying and understanding sexual energies and shit like that. Then it created, like, that's why I said, I'm at the point where I can't be tempted. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. And I'm going to say that's dangerous because when I look at quote unquote leaders and shit, that was their downfall every time. No matter how great they were able to be tempted. Now I understand why. You feel what I'm saying? I understand why. And there's not a point of any kind of separation when that shit happened. And none of these leaders, like when they all succumb to that shit, it's like, yo, how did you fall as great as you were? Because they were only on the physical. They only understood sexual energy on the physical. Stupid shit. So that's easily to be tempted. I'm not in that space. I'm not in that space anymore. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like celibacy is not hard. Refraining from sex is not hard now because it's not me refraining from sex. It's me looking for sex with a partner that's where I am. Change your perspective on that shit. Don't be like, I have to refrain from sex. No, I got to look for a partner that I can put money on it. That shit becomes easier. You feel me? I can put money on. Like when me and my mom had a sex talk, I was 16. I was already fucking by then, but she didn't know. But she was like, she told me some powerful shit. She said, the next time you have sex with a woman, look in her eyes and ask yourself, do I want to have a baby with this person? She said, if that answer is no, get up. I said, damn. And I did that shit. The very next, I said, no. She said, condom or not, you always running a risk. Just keep that in mind. She said, I can't tell you what it, and from then that set the standard, and ultimately, like shit just grew. You know what I'm saying? It just changed and ultimately brought me to this realization and shit. So right now the temptation is not there. Like, and all of my brothers, like, we can get to that point. Like, I'm not no unicorn. I'm not like, I'm not a mystical, magical motherfucker. Everything that I can do, all my brothers can do equally, if not better. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just willing to go the distance to learn how to do the shit. You feel what I'm saying? And that's all we got to do, bro. That's all we got to do. But at this point, we got to start teaching our sons. Like, we need to, our boys, had that talk with them. You feel me? Had that talk with them. Bro, what you know about sex? You feel me? It got to be better than motherfucking, I take a girl, I stick my thing in her, and 9 months later, she's pregnant. Shout out to boys in the hood. You feel what I'm saying? But that's the ballpoint. That's a start. Have that sex talk with your sons, your nephews, the little homies and shit. But go deeper. Learn about the mental sex as well. Not manipulation. Don't use it for the manipulation, because that's what's happening to Hotep Queen. That's why they put the E in Hotep now. Because of them motherfuckers. Because they go and they regurgitate knowledge and information. Like, you feel me? When I started to see how easy that was, I'm like, I remember one time this woman, she was very woke and she was so wrapped up in the mental fuck that, she was a sapiosexual, not a sapiophile, but she was so wrapped up in the mental fuck that she was willing to fucking got mad when I wouldn't fuck her. She hit me with the whole, well, I know I never said you weren't a good woman. I didn't say you were desirable. I said, I'm not fucking you. Like, my dick is special Cause like, I don't know what the fuck motherfuckers got shit fucked up with. Like, just cause you want it don't mean it wants you. The fuck? You gotta earn this motherfucker. You feel me? But that is a lot of what happens to us. You feel what I'm saying? That mental aspect. When you just, and that's the difference between the points of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. A lot of us have the knowledge, but we never take it to the understanding so it can be used to manipulate. You feel what I'm saying? I stimulate a lot of women's minds, but I don't manipulate their minds. I don't use that as the muse to fuck them, because it's like, you're still going to be around after I just manipulated you knowing I didn't want you. Then you're going to get annoying when I don't really want you. I don't like that shit. I don't like annoying people in my space. I just don't. So if I'm using this as a ploy and it's like, that shit's stupid as fuck. That shit don't make no sense to me. But I'm kind of rambling now. The point of all of this was, brothers, master your sexual energy. You feel me? Practice retention. Stop busting off all the time. And if you feel like, oh, I need it, bro. I need some pussy. Like, I need this. Start learning to transition that into your mental energy and start having sex mentally. Learn and start having sex mentally, which means reading, which means studying, which means learning, which means sharpening your skills. All the information that you learn, apply that shit. That's your orgasm. I can't, like, you gonna feel, trust me, when you start learning all of the shit and then you apply it, that nut is crazy, bro. It feels good. It feels good. You get excited still, but that doesn't deplete you. It invigorates you. You know what I'm saying? Learn to start having sex on a solar level. You feel me? So many motherfuckers, these woke motherfuckers think the actual physical aspect is fucking on the soul aspect. I don't know where y'all got that shit from. Just because I had made this post a while ago, and it was like a couple years ago, but the shit was really powerful and people missed it still because they still think I'm talking about the physical aspect. And I was like, I was insider before I ever had to get insider. There's a lot of women that when I looked at my past, I was already in her before I was in her. You feel me? So when it was time for me to go in her, load this flower bomb, bro. That's what it's supposed to be like. You got to learn how to fuck somebody's spirit. This is not physical connection. You have to fuck somebody's spirit. You have to be on that level. Feel me? Then you have to fuck somebody's mind. So you have to practice that shit. You got to practice your own fucking. Like, you got to, you know what I mean? Have mental sex. You feel me? You got to have mental sex, which, like I said, this means studying. This means reading. This means, and when I say studying, I don't mean just to regurgitate information. The type of studying that I do, and this is why with chatting with Seeing, I set this up as, you know, if you want to study with me, you can study. But you got to understand the type of study that I do. I'm an antithetical stutter. That's what I study. I'm an antithetical scholar. That's how I study. The reason why I do that, I will study the information I'm for and the instant information I'm against. The reason why I do this is because the truth sits in between that. That's where the truth sits in between. If I'm always studying what I'm for, that defeats my purpose. That's just going to enhance my ego. But if I'm always studying against, you know, what I'm against, that's going to make me a pessimist. You feel what I mean? So I study everything I'm for and everything I'm against. And then I come to the consensus of what stands in between those two. You feel what I'm saying? What stands in between those two? That's how I stimulate my mind. That's my mental sex. You feel what I'm saying? Call me a nerd, call me what you want. I don't give a fuck no more. Like, you feel me? You feel what I'm saying? Because these orgasms is crazy. You feel what I'm saying? Spiritually, right? The spiritual component is dope. Spiritual sex is this, right? Prayer and meditation. This is how you have sex spiritually. You pray and you meditate. So prayer is, and see, this is the thing. You have to understand your higher self. Astrology, all of this shit is cool to study, but you got to understand your higher self. You have to be able to be in tune with your higher self. People think when you reach your higher self and your highest capacity and all of this shit, you're going to be some kind of mystical guru and all that shit. No, that's not necessarily what that means. You feel me? I tapped into my higher self a long time ago. And I still do ratchet shit. Like, the fuck? Like, you feel me? But there's always wisdom in the shit that I talk about, the shit that I do, and my expressions. Because I understand the balance between myself, right? But anyway, the spiritual sex, right? It's prayer and meditation. In addition to that, it's respecting the harmony between your lower self and your higher self. Acknowledging and understanding your past and present and future. You feel what I'm saying? That's how you have spiritual sex with yourself. That's how you have spiritual sex. You gotta have the time to understand those points. So prayer is when I say prayer, I'm not speaking from the religious aspect of, oh, I have to ask for this, that's begging. I don't beg for shit. Okay? I'm not asking any deity, anything outside of myself to do anything for me, right? When I pray, the prayer in which I give myself is me speaking to my higher self, speaking to my nature, speaking to having the conversation between as higher self to my lower nature, as lower nature to my higher self, and balancing the two in between. That's prayer. Meditation is to listen to that shit. You feel me? Some of us try to walk the line and only do one or the other. You feel me? Oh, I'm gonna meditate now. What are you listening to? You're just listening to shit. Right? That's hearing. You feel me? With prayer. Oh, I'm just gonna keep praying. Like, you're talking, not speaking. You feel me? Prayer is when you speak to both sides of yourself. Meditation is when you listen to both sides of yourself. Right? The sexual act between that, the spiritual sex, is when you're able to convene 100%. So the meditative aspect of it is to go into dreamscapes, go into these different things, convene with your ancestors, your guides, and whatever it is, whether you call them angels, ancestors, whatever you call it, that's a different conversation in itself. But that's spiritual sex, right? And then understanding that and bringing it back down into the world. So prayer and meditation are those points. Study is the mental sex. Physical sex, we kind of already know what it is. You know, we practice that shit enough. But the retention, take on to the retention physically and start to refrain from that. Use that energy into your mental space. Use that energy into your spiritual space. You know, when I first started meditating, I could not meditate out of 5 minutes without my body I got to go do something. I can't sit still. Now I can get over an hour and a half straight meditation. Sitting there, body still, everything, straight meditation. It takes practice to that, and it takes understanding your creative energy. I use my creative energy to dissolve my body, then I go into my meditative state to pray and meditate. I convene with my higher self as my lower self. I convene with my lower self as my higher self. And I meditate in between that to get my life lessons, to get my goals, to get which moves I need to make, which things I need to do next. You feel what I'm saying? That's what the power of all of this does. And then you create the shit that you create. Am I done creating shit? Hell no, because now it's fun. Now it's fun. You feel what I'm saying? Using all of these tools to go to the resources and learn, like the shit that I teach in my master in the market class. You feel what I'm saying? This is over my own personal studies of 5 years of investing and trading and all of that shit, combined with the 40 years of 40 years of one person I studied, 40 years of another, 10 of another, like all of that shit. Like I needed creative energy to be able to sit still and take all of that in, to give it back to people, to be able to learn it in 6 months. The course is 8 weeks itself, but in 6 months, you would have gone through it enough to say, oh shit, this is what's popping. You feel what I'm saying? All of these things is like, these are orgasms, bro. We need to put more orgasms into the world, not just the physical ones. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up there because it's getting long. Be sure to follow me on Instagram _scene_. Click the link in the bio, and it'll take you to wherever it is that you can find me. Justine's merch, Justine's podcast, 90-day vegan course, everything else. I'm drawing a blank right now because I'm hungry. Be sure to get my book, So Frail, The Reality to Black Male Masculinity, So Frail, Too Toxic Femininity, and Hitting the Raw, Living a Raw, Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. And as always, I appreciate all of the donations, tips, and the sponsorships. And if you are looking to do so, you can find find it in the description of your podcast. I do appreciate everything given to me. As always, make sure you kiss your babies. My brothers, make sure you talk about sex for real to your sons. So we're not out here. We can't be out here just frivolously fucking anymore. It's time to stop this shit. All right. We need to have intention with what we're fucking for. You feel me? And then we have to have different levels of fucking. We need to be fucking on the mental level. We need to be fucking on the spiritual level first, above the physical. Above the physical. We need to be fucking on those levels first. Let's tap into that so we can shift this change and we can take back what's ours. The sun ain't shining and it's not getting stronger for nothing. It's our time. You know, my sister stopped demanding that we run 20 fucking miles in a day and understand why we can't. Shit. And my brothers, if you practice your retention and shit and you learn to stimulate, learn to tap into the spiritual and the mental aspect, I can guarantee you, if you fuck her spirit first, you fuck her mind first, when you fuck her body, she ain't gonna need another one for that day. She ain't gonna need another one. But if you're doing it for manipulative purposes, it's gonna drive her crazy, and then now you gonna blow this broad crazy and all that shit, blah blah blah. Now you got to deal with that shit. So don't do it for the manipulative practice. But as always, go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables, and I'm gonna see you when I see you. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.